Okay, so welcome guys to today's class. Of course, you guys already know my name now. I don't need to introduce myself, but if you're joining this class for the first time, my name is Victor Peter Kok, and I'm the NodeJs trainer. So for KodeCamp 4.0, we are going to talk about JavaScript strings and number data type today. Okay. I remember that in our last class, we talked about data types and we talked about it on the surface. We talked about string and numbers and what makes them different. Now, today we are actually going to move into working with these data types, seeing what we can do with them, seeing the different popular methods that are being used with them. Okay, so let's dive right into it. Okay, let's look at the topics we are going to cover today. We're going to cover strings in JavaScript, string properties and methods. We're also going to cover number data type, and then how you can use the different arithmetic operators to work with numbers. Then after that, we are going to look at the JavaScript math library. Okay, so the math library is what is used for arithmetic, right? Advanced arithmetic in JavaScript. So let's go on. Let me share my VS Code. So we'll start from there. So from what we said in our last class, you know that strings are just set of characters that are enclosed in double quotes or single quotes, right? Or backticks. I don't know if I mentioned backticks in our last class, but we'll see how you can work with that. Okay, let me share my VS Code. Okay. So this was the last file we used. Sorry about all these extra files that I'm not using at any point now. I think I'll just move all of them somewhere. Right. Okay. So we are here, right? We talked about some already, right? I guess you guys are following. We're on the same page, right? Hello. I hope you
Yes,
guys
we
are here.
are.
Okay. Cool. So let me clear my whole screen and then let me make this bigger. All right, so I said strings are what? They are a set of characters enclosed in either single quotes, double quotes, or backticks. Right, so an example of a string would be, for example, I could say console.log. Now, anything I put inside that quote, right, is going to be referred to as a string. So I could say, hello guys. And if I want to run that, I'll come here, click on terminal. Click on terminal, click on new terminal. I have a new terminal pop up here. Let me clear it. Then I can then say node script.js. I could remove the .js. Of course, it shows hello guys, and that's a string, right? Now, what about if we wanted to print a number. I said numbers are not enclosed in single or double quotes. So 500. Yeah, this is a number. And JavaScript has a way of telling you that this is a different data type. This is a number. It colors it yellow instead of white, just as this one. This one is a string, while this one is a number. Right. Now, let's go on. Now, I talked about properties and methods in strings, right? And I said that a property is characteristics of a particular data type, right? While the method for that data type is the action or the modifier for that particular data type. What you can use to change or modify that particular data type. So let's say we have something like, hello guys, we are going to look at for now, we are going to look at string properties and methods. Properties and methods. But before doing that, you can use a single quote inside your double quote string, right? So this is the rule. If you have to quote something in your string, you have to use, if you're using double quotes outside, you have to use single quotes inside. If you're using single quotes outside, you would use double quotes inside. Okay, so if I do this and I print it, you'd see hello and then guys is in quotes. But what if you want to still use, you want to use double quotes to start your string, but you also want to use double quotes to quote a particular set of character in your string? This is what you can do. You put a backslash before you put your quote there, right? If I want to end the quote, I end it with using a backslash first before the quote. Now, this backslash here escapes the character after it. Is called an escape character, right? So you use this backslash to escape. If not, if we remove this backslash and we try to print our string, we would see that hello is the string, right? Where the string stops, but this guys is not taken as a string. It's taken as more of a variable. But even if the variable guys existed, right? It's not being added well to this string. So that's why it's underlined there. So instead of that, what you can do is you escape the quotes now so that it won't affect how that is being printed. So if we clear our terminal and we come back and run our node script, you see hello guys, and then the guys is in double quotes, right? So that is called, so the backward slash here used on your string is used as an escape character. The other things you can use your backslash for example, if I want guys to be in a new line, right? I can say hello, then I'll say backslash and n to take the guys into a new line. So if I run node and script again, you see that hello is in one line, right? Then the guys is on the next line. Okay. I can use the escape to add tab. So a tab is like set of spaces, right? Remember, if you look on your keyboard, you see a tab button, right? But what if you want to add the tab programmatically here? So let me say there's no space there, but I want to use a tab to add a space here. I could just say backslash and T. I hope you guys are taking notes. So if I run this, you'd see hello and then the tab space here, right? It's usually 4, right? So hello, then tap before guys. So I hope, does anybody have any question on what I've done so far? Anybody? All right, so nobody has any question to ask. So let's go. Let's move further. Right. Also, I can declare this string as a variable. So I could say cons greets everyone. I could use let also if I want. I could then say hello guys. And in here, for me to log out that string, I'll just say greet everyone. If I do that and I run node scripts, right? You see hello guys, the same thing. But then there are things I can do here. For example, I can get the length of this string. And remember I said that the length is the only property you have for your string, right? For your string. So if I greet everyone dot length, and I come here and I say node scripts, greet everyone has 10 characters in it. So the length of this string greet everyone is 10, right? So let's look at other things we can do. I can access individual characters in this string if I their position, right? So one thing you need to know about strings again is that strings are indexed. Strings have their index. So each character in your string has index. This is what I mean. So H in this string has the index of 0. Then E has the index of 1, L has the index of 2, and so on and so forth. So if I want to access H, right? If I want to access only H, I want to pick H, right? I'll just say everyone at the index of 0. So if I do this, it's going to print out only the character H in this string, hello everyone. So if you want to try it, you can say node scripts, and then if I run that, you see that it only prints H. So if I want to get the second character, I would say I want the greet everyone at the index of 1. So greet everyone at the index of 1 is going to print out E for me. Right. So what we've done so far, we've talked about escape character. We've also talked about string properties and methods. Okay. So the next thing we are going to go into is we are going to see some of the string methods. Did I say string here? String. So we should look at string properties. Okay, we've looked at string properties, right? We've looked at how to get the length of a string, how to get the individual elements from a particular string using this bracket. So this is one thing you guys need to know. This is usually called parentheses. So what we call brackets in mathematics, this is usually called parentheses. I think I should take it up. It's worthy to note. So this is usually referred to as parentheses. Okay. Then this other one, this symbol here is referred to as square brackets. Square brackets. Okay. Okay. All right. Then the next property I want to talk about also is this one. This is called the curly braces. Curly braces. So in case I use any of these 10 in our class, you would know exactly what I'm talking about. It's good to take note of them. Parentheses, square brackets, curly braces, right? I also remember that I talked about strings being, you can create strings using backticks. And someone would say, what are backticks, right? What are backticks? So if you look for people that use HP laptop, or not only HP laptops, most laptop brands, under your escape key, right, on your keyboard, if you look directly under it, or the key before your number one, right, on your computer keyboard, you find out that there is a backtick button there. So if I press it, you see that we have what is called backticks here. So that can also be used to create strings. So if I change this to backticks and I run the code, it will still run perfectly well, right? Cool. So let's look at other things we can do. So let's look at, we've looked at string properties. Let's look at string methods. So I said string methods are what you can use to modify a string, right? So string methods. One of the string methods, popular string methods, is the slice. The slice string method, right? And the slice string method is used to, of course, slice out a part of your string. So if you have a set of characters, right, you can slice out from that character. For example, I can slice hello out from hello guys, right? I can slice HE from hello guys. So for example, if I now this slice method here accepts two arguments, but the second argument is optional. Now, if I want to slice from, let me say I want to slice to get the values L, O, and G, Y, Z. That's I want to slice to get only the values are highlighted, right? Remember that H has the index of 0, E has the index of 1, right? L has the index of 2. So if I want to do that, I'll say I want to start slicing from 2. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Wow. I'm so sorry about this. Network is just terrible here. Okay, so let me continue from where I stopped, right? Okay, so I was talking about hello guys, right? How you can slice, right? So this is the simple way to slice out that string. But what if you don't want to slice till the end? You want to slice to a certain extent and stop, right? Like for example, I want to slice LLO. That's just LLO. I don't want the HE, I don't want the space and the guys, just LLO, right? What I would simply do is I want to start from 2 to slice, but I want to stop at this space. I'm not stopping here. I'm stopping at this space, right? Because if you want to stop at O, right? If you say you want to stop at the position where O is, right? It's not going to return O to you. It's just going to return the characters before O. So you have to stop at the position in front of where you stop sliding. So if we check, H has the index 0, E has the index of 1, L has the index of 2, the other L has the index of 3, while O has the index of 4. So I want to slice from 2 to 5. So doing that, if I run node and script, you would see that we have L, L, O, right? So in essence, I've sliced by giving a start and an end, okay? So this is particularly useful if you want to extract a part of your string from maybe from your maybe a string variable, right? So you can use that to slice out. Okay, so we've talked about slice. So I'd say we've talked about slice. Let's talk about split. Right. So let me see how many people are on this call. Let me use you guys. Let me use your name. Let me say Austin, Hakim, and Uju. So I'll use those 3 names for something now. So I'll say hello, Hakim, Uju, Austin, Astine. Okay. So I want to split now. How does split work? Split divides your string into it converts your string into an array, and it divides them into each element, right? Based on what you're using as your separator. I'm going to explain. I know I might be speaking in tongues now. Look at this. If I say dot split, right? And I want to split by comma and space. You know that what is separating Hakim from Uju and what is separating Uju from Austin is comma and space. So I can decide to split by something else. If it's not comma and space that is separating them, I can decide to split by something else. I can decide to, so in this case, I want to split by comma and space. So splitting by comma and space is going to make sure that it converts this string to an array, right? And Hakim will be the first element of that array. Uju would be the second element of that array. And Austin will be the third element of that array. So if we do that and we run node scripts, you'd see that we have hello Hakim, then we have Uju, and then we have Austin as individual strings, right? Okay, now what has happened is this has been converted to an array, and I can decide to loop through this array. Okay, so let me give a classic example of where this split is applied. How many of you have sent bulk SMS before? Has anybody done that bulk SMS thing or bulk email where they tell you if you want to send bulk email, you should separate the emails by comma, or if you want to send bulk SMS, you separate the phone numbers by comma. Who has done that before? Okay, IG is showing an emoji. I guess he has had an experience with that. If you have not had an experience with that, it's fine. So what they normally tell you is maybe 08000 someone's number, you now say comma, you now say 080, then you put another number, you now put comma, you now put, let's say we have 3 numbers, so that's the third number, and I want to send a message to each of these 3 numbers, right? The first thing I would want to do is I want to split by comma, because phone numbers don't contain comma, right? And comma is what is separating each of the numbers. So if I split by comma here and I write node script, right? And I press enter, what you're going to see is those numbers now have been converted to, or that string of numbers has been converted to an array of numbers, right? Array of phone numbers, right? Or an array of strings, right? And I'm going to explain what arrays are very soon. So for people that don't know, an array is just a list of things, right? But the arrays are different from our list in real life. So take, for example, your shopping list, right? Your shopping list, you write number one, this is what you want to buy. Number two, this is what you want to buy. But for arrays, it's totally different. For arrays, the first element in your array, right, has the index of 0. So it's like saying maybe 0, this is the value. So here, what you're seeing here is an array of strings, which are actually phone numbers, right? And then the first phone number is this phone number here. And this first phone number has the index of 0. So if I said if I want to print this first phone number, I would say everyone dot split comma at the index of 0. So if I do that and I run node script, it gives me only the first number. So if I want to print this second number out, I'll change this to 1 and then run it. Is there anybody that is not following up to this extent? Anybody confused? Anybody? I hope everybody's following, right? Everybody's following. So if you have any question, you can just drop it on the comments or on the chat, right? Now, next one I would want to show is the replace. So we have replace, right? So let me form a string. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Right. And I want to replace something in this string. I want to replace a particular set of characters in this string. Maybe I want to replace Y by E. So anywhere on that string it sees Y, it should convert it to E, right? So I can use if a function called, or a method called replace. So I'd say I want to replace Y by E. Okay, so doing this, right? Okay, someone is asking a question. What if no argument is passed to the split method? Okay, someone is asking if there's no argument passed to the split method. So it's, if no argument is passed, it's going to split each characters of the string you're passing to it. So each character in that string is going to be an element on the array. So if we say everyone dot split, but we don't pass any arguments, see, it's going to divide those characters one by one. Okay, sorry, I'm wrong. It actually puts the whole thing one. Okay, this was what I was referring to, right? If you just have an empty quote there, that's when it is going to split it into individual characters, right? But if you don't have any argument here, it's just going to pick the whole string and add it to the array as one element. So if we do that, we just have the whole Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday added there as one element, right? So I hope I've answered your question, IG. I hope this your IG doesn't mean Inspector General. All right. So that was by the way. So I was talking about replace, right? So I said replace, and then where if you decide to replace, let's say I want to replace Y by E. So looking at that, if we come back and we run that method, right, you'd see node. Okay, let me clear the screen first. Node script. Okay, so what it does is it replaces the first occurrence of that Y. It replaces the first occurrence, but not all of them. Right. So I know your next question is, so how do I replace all the occurrence there? So what you can simply do is you can say this. You can say you want to replace all the y's globally with E. Okay, and I'll explain what I just did. So we have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday with E at the end instead of Y. So what I just wrote here is called a regular expression. Okay, so regular expressions. What are regular expressions? So I'll just talk a bit about regular expression. Regular expression is a big topic in JavaScript. So most times you don't want to search for a string in a set of you don't want to search for maybe a string literal value. Like for example, saying you want to search for a particular set of string in maybe an variable, right? A string variable. Let's take for example, we have a string that says this or these are my numbers, right? And then you'd say 080 whatever you want to say, and you now put command and say 080 whatever, right? You can actually search. So you don't know the numbers the person puts, but you know that maybe the number should be 11, and then you want to search through to pick any to return or to get any number that is 11 in length, right? You can use regular expressions to pick that number out from the list of strings, because so regular expression is all about searching for a pattern, right? So you can search for a pattern. So what I did here, what I did here is I searched for the letter Y from that's globally on this string, right? So this G here means search globally. So when you see the first occurrence of the character Y, right, and you change it to E, don't just stop there. Continue searching till you reach the end, right? And anywhere you see that character Y, change it to E. That's just what I did here. Okay. So we have the split, we have the replace. Yeah, so regular expressions you can also say, okay, you can also use new regex, regexp. You can say you are searching for Y, and you want to search for it globally. I think that should also work the same way. Yes, so if you don't want to use the other way to declare that is a regular expression you're finding, you can also use this way. You can say you're searching for Y and you're searching globally, right? This G means globally, like throw out that string, and then anywhere you see Y, you want to replace it with E. Okay, right? So we've talked about splits. We've talked, so we can also use dots. We also have reverse. Okay, wait, let me delete this. No, reverse only exists for arrays, right? Okay, you can test a string to see if a string contains a set of character, right? So you can use includes to do that. So I want to test if this string contains Tuesday, right? Does it contain Tuesday? So I would say, does greet everyone include, right? Does it include Tuesday? So what this is going to do is, it's going to tell us true if our string includes Tuesday, or it's going to give us false if our string doesn't include Tuesday. So if I run this node script, we see a true. Of course, if we try to do Friday, for example, Friday is not there on that string, on that variable name greet everyone. So it's going to return a false to us. All right. So this is how you could use to test your string, right? We can also use start with and end with. So we can check if a string starts with a particular character, right? And of course, we can use that information to make decisions, right? We can say, so we have what is called start with. So I can check, does my string start with, does it start with SUN? If it starts with SUN, it's going to print out a true. Now, one thing you need to note about this is, doing this is case sensitive. If I said a small letter S here and I press and I run the code, it's going to bring out a false because it starts with SUN, but the S here you're using to search for is a small letter, but meanwhile what you have here is a capital letter S, so it's going to give you a false. So instead of that, you say, does it start with capital SUN? That will give you a true, right? You can check, does it start with MON? Does our string start with MON? False. So false means our string doesn't start with MON. Okay. We also have ends with, right? So ends with is used to check if a string ends with a particular character. Now, you might be wondering, why should we even know all these things? You can use this to make decisions, right? You can make the, okay. So, for example, let me use Google, or let me use Gmail, for example. If you are trying to create a personal account, right? And maybe you try to call that account no reply or sort or any of those things, right? Email doesn't allow you to do that, right? So let's take, for example, I'll say maybe I want to create support at gmail.com, right? Let me just say I want to create this. Gmail can say, don't accept any email that includes support, right? So which means you can write a statement to check if the email, right? For example, the email that the person is trying to create, does it contain the word support, or does it contain the word no reply, or does it contain the word service? You understand? If it contains those words, don't create that email, right? So the simple way to do it would be to use that includes, right? Simple. So let's go back a bit. Let's go back to this example. Does my this variable greet everyone, does it end with MON? False, of course. Does it end with WEDNESDAY? So I could say, does it end with day? Does it end with day? True, it ends with day. Clear it. So you see, I can use this to test. So we've done starts with, we've done ends with. Okay. Another thing we can do is we can concatenate two different strings together, right? So I know we've talked about concatenation, but there are different ways to concatenate strings. So the first way is to say, let's say string one. Okay, let me say I have a greet everyone here, and I say hello, and then I want to add it with the students that are in this class. We could do this. So maybe the students the students list is here, I would say students is equals to Hakeem, Austin, and maybe I have an ending text. Okay, let me just leave it at 2. Right, I could say greet everyone plus students. Okay, plus an empty space, then plus student. This empty space is to make sure that hello and Hakim doesn't appear together. There should be a space between it. So if I come here and type node script, you see hello Hakim Austin, right? There's another way of doing this. I could decide to say hello, greeting everyone dot concat. Then I say concat, and then what I put there is students. Okay, but if I print it now, it's going to actually not like be together. So I'd say if I print it, you see hello Hakim. So what you can do to solve this is you can create a space manually there. So you can see we are still able to concatenate, right? So we've also seen the concatenate keyword. Okay, and we know that concatenate is used to add 2 or more words, right? Or 2 words in this. Someone is not muted. Celestine, please can you mute your, okay, thank you. Okay, so concatenate, and the list goes on and on and on, but these are the ones I would like to cover in this class, right? So you can make research of others, right? Other string methods, there are a lot of them, right? So I think there is a trim. So you know this thing that happens when you try to register, when you're trying to fill in a form and your name pops up, right? Maybe you are trying to fill a form and they ask you for your full name and you put your name, right? Normally, when you put in your name, that name has to be trimmed, right? So because why does it have to be trimmed? There might be extra spaces at the end, like maybe extra spaces here and there. So if I want to remove those spaces, I could say dot trim. So if I run that, you see that the extra spaces that are here has been removed. If I don't trim that name and I leave it as a that and print it, you see that this hello is printing with the extra spaces in front of it and at the back, right? The spaces that are here. So trim is used to remove those extra characters at the end, because this is a real life scenario. I've come across maybe a form, you fill the form and then while you're filling, your email pops up, right? Maybe your email is victor@gmail.com. Maybe before you even type the Victor and finish, it would have popped up the email, and then you click on that email. As soon as you click on that email, when it adds the email automatically, most times it adds the .com with an extra space at the end, right? So if you're creating a website or you're creating an API that maybe registers people, when they send in their details, right? If the front end escapes or didn't remember to trim that character, these characters, right? What you can do is, before saving that character on your own end as the backend developer, you would have to trim that character, because when the person is coming to log in, the person might type this email, right, without the space, and then it will show that maybe that email doesn't exist, and the person will be saying, I registered successfully, why is it that I can't log in, right? The problem might be because you didn't actually trim that input. Okay, so for what I've said so far, does anybody have any question? If you have any question, you can drop it on the chat, right? I'm still looking at that angle. I'm not seeing any questions yet. Okay, so let's see something else we can do. I've talked about string properties and string methods. So let's go on to number. Right. And we said numbers are unique because they don't actually need any single quote or double quote to survive, right? They are just there. Now, numbers, of course, because you want to work with numbers, you're always going to think about arithmetic. How do I add? How do I subtract? How do I multiply and all the stuff? So we are going to see those arithmetic operators here. So to add, you use the plus symbol. So add is plus. To subtract, you use the dash, the minus symbol, right? Or you just say dash, right? If you're using it as in string, it's a hyphen or a dash, but if you're using it with a number, it's a minus symbol or a subtract symbol. To multiply, you use the asterisk symbol, right? To divide, you use the forward slash symbol to divide. To raise to the power of something, so to raise to power, right? Use double asterisk, right? Or for the power symbol, you use double asterisk, and we are going to see how we can actually do that. Then, for you to get the remainder of your division, what is called modulus, right? You use, so for modulus, you use the percentage symbol, okay? So the percentage symbol is going to give you the remainder of your division. So let's see this in action. Okay, so I'd have 50 here. I'd say num1 is 50. I could say const num2 or num2, no space in our variables, right? Num2 should be 10, right? So I could do this. I could say num1 plus num2, right? Num1 plus num2 is saying 50 plus 10, which is 16, okay? We can also say we can say num1 minus num2. Where's the minus? Num1 minus num2, that's saying 50 minus 10, that's 40. We can multiply. So we can say num1 asterisk num2. So that's saying 50 times 10, which is 500. We can also say the division symbol, right, which is 50 divided by 10, num1 divided by num2. If we run that, we have 5, okay? So then we can also raise to the power of, so we can say num1 raised to the power of num2, right? 50 raised to the power of 10. So that's the result. We can also say, we can also check if we divide 50 by 10, what would be the remainder? So we say 50 modulus 10, right? And if we run that, we'll see a result there, 0. 0 denoting that there is no remainder when we try to divide those two numbers. Is that clear? I hope nobody has any question. Okay, so in the absence of question, we'll move further. Okay, so this is called um, the math library or the math variable in JavaScript. Okay, so if you notice, we are doing basic arithmetic. What if we wanted to find out about constants? For example, if you want to find out about pi now, right? You have to say, let's say, for example, I want to calculate the radius of a circle. Sorry, did I say radius? The area of a circle, right? So, and I'm giving the radius as 20, for example, right? And we know that the formula is pi r squared, but the value of pi is 22/7, but we don't actually want to write the 22/7 or 3.142. So maybe instead of saying something like pi should be equals to 3.142, something like that. And then you now do the arithmetic here, right? Let's say pi times r raised to the power of 2, right? So pi r squared, that would give us the area, right? So that's the area of that circle, pi r squared. So what if we wanted to access pi, but not by declaring the value of pi, right? This is how you would do it. Once you write math with the capital M, that's math like this, and you put a dot, you're going to see some constants. This what you're seeing here are constants, which are properties, right? And then you can also see some other advanced mathematical functions you can use for advanced mathematical equations or solutions. So you see about to find the absolute value of a particular digit. You can find the a cos, a tan, cos, tan, exponent, floor. There are a lot of them, right? And of course, if you're not using JavaScript for scientific or mathematical purpose, there's no need of you knowing all of them. There are just some few ones that we are going to touch. So looking at it, if we say that pi should be equals to math.pi here, it will still actually work. It will give us a more precise answer. If we check the value of pi, if we just printed out math.pi, come back here, you run it, you see that it's giving us the more accurate value of pi. It's giving us 3.1415926, whatever, till the end, which is more precise than this number is like large for it to cram, right? But you can actually access it easily using this math. Okay. And apart from pi, there are other constants here. There's e, there's natural log to the base of 10, natural log to the base of 2, square root, square root 1, square root 2. There's pi here. There are a lot of them, right? But based on what you're using it for, if you're going into mathematics and all this stuff, you can actually use them to your own advantage. Okay, but the ones I'm particularly interested in, right? So I'd say math properties, math properties and methods. Yeah, properties and functions. Let me say functions, right? So let me start with the properties. So we have pi, we have log to the base of 10, 10e. We have log to the base of 2e. We have the rest of them. We have math method. The ones I'll be looking at in this class is floor, seal, we'll look at ABS, we'll look at round. Okay, so what's the absolute value? I'm asking you guys, everybody here, what's the absolute value of the number 5? Who knows? What's the absolute value of number 5? Number 5, what's the absolute value of that? Anybody? Or what's the absolute value of the number -20? What is absolute value? Right?
20.
Yeah.
-20 will be 20. You will just remove every negative that is there.
Okay, cool. Right. So the absolute, right, is used for giving the positive value for whatever you're doing. So for example, if you say 20 minus 10, the answer would be 10. But if you say 10 minus 20, the answer will be -20, right? But what if you want to get the positive result to that subtraction, whether the numbers, right, whether the number you're subtracting from is larger than the other one or less than the other one, you can always use math.absolute ABS. So if we say math.abs, so let me just say absolute value there. So math.abs of 20 is going to give you 20. Math.absolute of -20 will still give you 20. So you can use that to get the absolute value. Then another important one is math.floor. Okay. And I'll explain what floor does. So floor is used to round down a number in JavaScript. So what is rounding down? So if you have a number that has a decimal point, right? If you want to round down that number, you're simply saying you don't care what is the value after the decimal point, right? But you're not adding anything to the number before the decimal point. You just want to get the value after that. You just want to get the values before the decimal point. That's the whole number part. For example, if I say 22.4 and I'm rounding down that number, right? Let me clear this. If I say 22.4 and I run it, math.floor is rounding down that number back to 22, right? It's always going to round it. So rounding down is going to the nearest whole number below, right? I don't know how to break it down more than that, but just know that when you have, maybe let's say you have 2.5, there is a whole number close to 2.5 above and there's a whole number close to 2.5 below. So the whole number close to 2.5 below is 2, right? The whole number close to 2.5 above is 3. So if you're rounding down to the whole number below. So even if we say 22.9, right, it's going to give us 22 points blank. So that's to round down. And this is important. When you start generating random numbers, right, you know how this works. Then we can also round up numbers. So rounding up means we want to get the nearest whole number above that's higher. So if we say 22.2 and we are rounding up, so if we want to round up, we'll use CEIL. So floor is to round down, seal is to round up. And if you don't remember the difference between both, just know that your house is always ceiling and the ceiling is always above you, but you're always matching the floor. So the floor is always below you, right? So you can always use that to remember the difference. So if we say math.seal, we are rounding up. So 22.2 is going to give you 23. 22.1 is going to give you 23. 22.0 it should give you 22 still. Yeah, because this is just the same thing as saying 22. So 22.9 is going to give you 22. Sorry, 23. Sorry about that. Okay. So then what if, so now we've seen how to round down, we've seen how to round up. So how do we round a number? So when we say round a number, we are saying if that number is, if the number after the decimal point is greater than 5, you should round up the number. But if the number after the decimal point is less than 5, right, you should round down the number. Okay, so that's what we are doing here. Let me repeat myself. If you're using math.round, if you want to round a number, right, what you're trying to say, if the number after the decimal point is greater than or equal to 5, round up. But if the number is less than 5, round down. That's what we mean. So if we say math.round and we say 22.9 and then we run it, you see that we have 23, right? But if we change this to 22.4 and then we run it, what we are going to get is 22. Now, why is it 22? Because this number after the decimal point, right? So if we are rounding, because this number here is less than 5, so it's going to round it down. But once this number here is 5 or greater than 5, it will now start rounding it up. Okay. Now, how there's another interesting thing about this math. How have you guys wondered how OTP is being generated? How many of you guys wonder about how it's being generated? Anybody interested in knowing how OTPs are generated? Anybody?
Isn't that just random number?
Random, yes, it's a random number. So how do we generate it in JavaScript?
How about if we try math.random?
Okay, wow. So I have gurus here already. So if we want to generate random numbers, we'll say math.round. But math.round is not going to generate the random number as we want it. So I'm going to explain why. So math.random is going to generate random numbers for you, but it's going to generate random numbers that are less than 1. Okay, so the random number generated for you would be 0 point something 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 something. 0 point something. It's never going to be 1 point something. It's always going to be 0 point something something something. So if we call random number, I just say I call this random number, right? And we call that. You see that math.random number, when we call it, is going to generate a random number here, right? It generates different random numbers. If I call the random again, it's always going to generate a random number for us. You see that? But it's always generating the random number less than 1. So 0.8 is less than 1 now. 0.1 is less than 1. So how do we get whole numbers from here? So can anybody suggest how do we get whole numbers? For example, I want to generate random numbers from between 0 to 9, what do you think I should do? Anybody? Can anybody try? So let's think about it this way. Don't worry about the random number, right? If we had 0.8805, whatever, if we had this value, right, for example, and I want to get it, let's say I want to get it, right? I want to get it as a whole number. How do I generate that? What do I do to get that?
You multiply by 10 and round around and flood the integer, flood the number.
Okay, cool. You multiply by 10 and you round down. So if we say the times 10, right, and we just run it that way, it's going to generate the whole numbers for us, but it's still going to generate it with the decimal part. So now it's your choice. You want to generate numbers from 0 to 9, you have to round down. If you want to generate numbers between from 1 to 10, you round up, right? So if I round down, if we say the math dot round, math dot, yeah, oh sorry, math dot floor, then I say math dot random times 10. So this is actually going to generate the numbers I need. Okay, 4, 2, 6, 7, right? I can decide to, so this is how OTPs are. So we'll say 0, 0, 0, 0. You multiply your random by 10,000. So multiplying it by 10,000 is going to generate 4 digits. So if we call that now, you see, we can generate 4 digits, right? If we want to make it 6, we add 2 zeros here. So that's going to generate six digits for us. So that's how they used to generate OTP for us. But the process of generating the OTP, right, is more complex than this if you're using it on backend. After generating the OTP, most times you might want to check if that OTP already exists, so that two people or two different users won't receive the same OTP or try to use the same OTP. So so that's it for what we've discussed today. So we've talked about all these methods: slice, include, start with, string, concatenate. We've talked about numbers and how you can use them. There are different symbols, right? Arithmetic symbols and how you can use them. Talked about the math properties and methods. We've also talked about the math properties and the math methods, and also we talked about parentheses. Okay, so for a bonus, I'm going to have something. I'm going to talking about the boolean, and no, I think I should stop at boolean. I'll stop at boolean for today. So for what we've discussed so far here on the for strings and numbers, does anybody have any question? So this is one thing about JavaScript. For people that are coming from other programming languages, or for people that are new, it's worthy to note. JavaScript sees 5 and 5.0 as numbers. In other programming languages, for example, Python will see this as an integer, and Python will see this as a floating point number. Floating point numbers in other programming languages are digits that have decimal points, right? So if we even did this, let me delete this part of this code. If we did this and we said type of 5, right? I want to check what type of data this is, and I run it. You see that it shows that 5 is a number, right? This is a way to check your data type. But if you say type of, even if you say type of 5.37, whatever, it's still going to give you a number. But in other programming languages, this would give you, this is going to give you a floating point number, right? While maybe something like 5 like this would have printed an integer. So this is important to know, okay? So JavaScript doesn't really want to know the difference between the numbers you're using, as far as they are numbers, as far as they are digits or true, whether they have decimal points or not, they are referred to as numbers. Okay, so let's look at booleans briefly. Booleans, right? So booleans are just simply true or false. Yes, so I'm done with booleans. We can call it a day. Actually, I'm lying. Okay, so look at this. How do we get booleans, right? You can say true. You can just write true here. Finish. True. And just print it. And true will print true for you. Funny, right? But this is not a valid means of why you would want to use booleans, right? Now, booleans are results, right? Booleans are usually generated when you compare two or more inputs, right? You can get the value boolean. For example, I want to compare is 5 greater than 2? 5 is greater than 2, right? So if 5 is greater than 2, what this expression is going to give me is a boolean. It's going to be a boolean because I'm trying to compare two things. I want to see if it's true that in this case, the first number there is greater than the second number. So if I come here and I run node script, you see it prints out true, right? Is 5 less than 2? That would give us a false. Let me clear my screen quickly. So let's see the comparison symbol. So comparison symbols, right? When you use them to compare values, right? Two values, right? It's always going to give you a boolean. So let's look at our comparison. Than We have greater than, which is that one. We have less than, which is this one. We have less than or equal to, which is less than or equal to. We have greater than or equal to, which is greater than or equal to. We have not equal to. So not equal to is an exclamation mark and an equal symbol. We also have um equal to or equal to. The symbol is double equality sign. We have equivalent to, which is triple equal to symbol, and we have not equivalent to. The not equivalent to is an exclamation mark equal to 200. Of course, that should give us what? What should that give us?
True.
Hello, true, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that gives us a true. So is 200. So look at this. This is the funny thing. When we are using double equals to, JavaScript compares the two, right? If they have different data types, JavaScript is going to convert both of them to a similar data type and then compare both of them. So if we say is the number 200 equals to the string of 200. If I run this, it's going to print. What do you think is going to print out for you guys? Let me ask first.
True.
Okay. Any other person with any other opinion? No other person with any other opinion. Okay, so it's true, right? It's actually going to print out. Yes. So what is happening is JavaScript doesn't care about, or some people would say JavaScript converts both of them to a common data type and compares them, right? Someone might also tell you that JavaScript ignores the data type of one. So let's say this one is a number, this one is a string, right? It might convert this number to a string and then try to compare both of them, right? So, but the takeaway here is just knowing that it's JavaScript is going to focus more on the values rather than their data type. But if we use triple equals to, this is saying compare the values and also compare the data types and make sure that both match before you give me a true. So in this case, this is going to return a false to us. So if we say node script and we run it, we have a false there. False telling us that what we are trying to compare do not match, even if they match in value, but in their content, they do not actually match. Okay? Right. So then we have the others. We have equal to, we can check is 200 greater than or equal to 200. So let me ask, is that going to give us a true or false?
True.
To give us true.
Okay, so it gives us a true, right? Is 200 greater than 200? What would that give us?
False.
Okay, that's going to give us a false. So if you run it, we see a false. Let me clear this out. You can also try to play around with the rest of this, right? Then, so what if you had more than, just, maybe you wanted to compare different things. For example, you wanted to compare different values, not just this one, not just maybe 200. Maybe you wanted to compare if 200 is greater than 200 and something is greater than another thing and then the rest. How do you actually use them together? So we have this other set of symbols, right, that are used to compare more than one like make more than one comparison, right? So I think they are called logical operators. Can't remember. Logical operators. Okay, so look at this. If we have now in your secondary school, you must have been taught about gates, logical gates, or if it's in mathematics, you were taught about truth table. So if we said that we have let me use gates instead. Well, anyone, let me use gates. So we have the OR gates. We have OR gates. We have AND gates. Right. And we have not. Let me just stop at not gates for now. And then, so who can explain how OR gates works? Anybody? Someone should try. How does OR gates work? Hello, are people on this call?
If either of
Or
what you're comparing is, if either of what you're comparing is true, it returns it true. Yeah, I think that summarizes it.
yeah, cool. So if any of the values you're trying to compare is true, so if any of the input is true, the output is going to be true. Now, if we want to express that in JavaScript, we would say, for example, I want to compare if 200 is greater than 200 and 5 is not equals to 20, for example. So I'd say is 200 greater than 200. Now I want to use OR. So, but how do I tell JavaScript I want to use OR? So this what is called the pipe symbol. This pipe symbol. It's used to compare, it's used for OR. So I could say is 200 greater than 200, or is 5 not equal to 20? So of course we know that this is going to give us a false, right? But this one is true. 5 is not equal to 20. It's true. So if I run this code, right? If I run it at, say, script node, node script. Of course, we see a true, and that's because this is actually true, right? So, but this one is false, but at least one of the inputs, one of what we are comparing resolves to a true. That's why we're having a true. So, but if I change this to double equals to, you see that 200, this is going to be a false, right? And this also is also going to be a false. So that is going to give us a false. And we can use this to compare even more and more values. So I can decide to say or something else and then compare it. Okay. Someone should try and get and. Anybody else?
Yes, for AND gate, that means all your statements must be truths. Like the first one is correct, the other one is correct.
Okay, okay. So in essence, what he's saying is that all your input has to be true for an output of true to be gotten, right? So the symbol for the AND gate is your AND symbol. This symbol is actually called the ampersand symbol. AMPERSAND, ampersand symbol. But you can also call it AND symbol, right? So doesn't really matter, right? So this is how we do it. If you want to use it to compare, you can say is 200 equals to 200 and 5 is greater than 2. Of course, these two are true, so the output is going to be true. But if one of these is false, let's say it's 200 equals to 100, this is going to give us a false, right? But this one is true. When we run that, we find out that we have a false as the result because this part is not true. Okay. So that's how you use that symbol. Okay, then what if so what if you always want the opposite of your comparison? For example, we know that 5, if we are comparing 5 is greater than 2, this should give us true. But what if you wanted that if the result of what you're comparing is true, you should get a false? What if and if the result of what you're comparing is false, you should rather get a true, right? That's where not get comes in. So not, you use the exclamation symbol to declare a not. So if we say, so now if you want to use it here, you're going to put those two in brackets and then you're going to put the not symbol there. So what this not symbol is going to do is it's going to negate, or is going to return the opposite of this comparison. So it's true that 5 is greater than 2, but when it encounters this not symbol, it's going to print out false instead. So if I clear that and I come back and press node and script, you see, 5 is greater than 2, but this negation symbol has turned true to false. So, but if I did something like this, is 5 equals to 2, right? So this is supposed to give us a false, right? It's supposed to give us a false because it's not true that 5 is equals to 2. But because of this negation symbol, it's going to give us the opposite of the result for this, right? This is supposed to be a false, but this negation symbol is going to give us true instead. So if we run that, we now find out that we have a true. We have a true here, okay? So do we have any question based on what we've done so far? Any question? Any question? Who has a question?